the whole day through. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. Georgia on my mind. I said, Georgia, Georgia, a song of you comes as sweet and clear as moonlight through the pines.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Houston EV Hub. I'm David C. Lowy. This is KPFT 90.1 FM. You can also listen live on your computers or phones at kpft.org. And our programs are in the kpft.org archives for 60 days. We feature members of the Houston Electric Vehicle Association, of which I am happy to be the vice president. And on the line today, remotely, Colin Lowen.
Good morning.
Good morning out there. And Susie Lovejoy.
Good morning.
Good morning. Susie's off to New York later today, so everybody decided to stay out of traffic, except for me, because I take my wife to work out this way anyway. But the music that we started with, of course, the genius Ray Charles singing about Georgia on my mind, because we have the privilege of having a pre-recorded interview with a statewide officer of the state of Georgia. He's going to be with us. He's a commissioner. Well, there's a dog in the studio. I'm not sure where that came from, but maybe we'll find out later. That must be at Susie's house. I know who's.
She had to mute herself. Yeah,
that must have been Phoebe or Rosie.
You know the names.
Both of them.
Yeah, a couple of golden doodles, though one of them looks gray.
They're excited about the show.
Well, I'm glad that sound of my voice inspires such reactions.
It always does.
But as I was saying, Commissioner Tim Echols is with us today. We did an extensive talk yesterday because he's currently attending an EV conference in Georgia. And he's been through here as well. He has a podcast that's also played on the radio in Georgia. So that's coming up. But I believe Colin has a cool fact for us.
Yeah, so today's cool fact is EVs are cheaper to own. Drivers can save an estimated $800 to $900 annually. That's reduced fuel costs, no belts, no oil, no air fuel filters, just fewer moving parts to keep up with. Plus fewer trips to the gas station and mechanic. Fewer loaners, Uber trips, asking the spouse for a ride to the dealer. It's just easier.
Yes, it certainly has been over the years of my 12 years of driving. All electric, and before that, a hybrid vehicle, which is partially electric, partially gas, but we've left that far behind us now. Susie, do you have an electric question for today?
Well, I do. Since I am going to New York, I wondered if you wanted me to make some connections while I'm there.
Well, I could certainly put you in touch with Bernard, who has called in here. You wouldn't have a better guide to New York than Bernard, who's a street artist there for over 30 years now. I've been saying that for about 10 years. He's a successful artist there and a very skilled craftsperson. So maybe I will put the two of you in touch. That would really be nice for you to meet Bernard.
Bernard of Strong Opinions.
Bernard of Strong Opinions. The acronym for that would be BOSO. Bosso. Okay.
I'll be going with Martha of Strong Opinions, so it ought to work out.
Oh, that'll be good. And Bernard is a good guide to where to eat and where to go see electric vehicles for sale in New York.
And maybe an electric bike.
Yeah, he's not too fond of those.
No.
We're going to go straight to that interview with Tim Echols. a statewide officer in Georgia. He is on the Public Service Commission, generally involved with energy regulation, but he also has a podcast that helps people figure out how to economize on energy costs, and he's a huge advocate of electric vehicles. Joining us now is Tim Echols from the state of Georgia, a commissioner there. Welcome to Houston EV Hub, and please let our audience know who you are and what your role as a commissioner for the state of Georgia is, and how you became EV Ambassador of the Year in the National Electric Vehicle Association.
Yeah, let's start with the commission. Of course, everything's bigger in Texas, so you guys have your own railroad commission that is elected, a statewide elected office, and we were the railroad commission before we became the Public Service Commission. And then you also have your Public Utility Commission appointed by the governor. So y'all have two versions. I think it takes y'all two entities to do what we do with one. I'm just kidding, of course. Everybody loves Texas and everything's big in Texas. But, my work on the commission, I've been on the commission 15 years. I'm on my 8th electric vehicle, but I initially learned about range anxiety and all that's associated with driving those early EVs by driving a Honda Civic that ran just on natural gas. So I had that car for a couple years, and then I got one of the early Nissan Leafs in 2013.
Yeah, we got a Nissan Leaf and leased that for a few years. Some people recommend leasing so you can keep up with changes in technology. That lease was ending and we got another one like that, but Hurricane Harvey came along and drowned that car. So high water was the end of our second electric vehicle, and we've been driving Chevrolet Bolts since then, and we now own one. But you've had 8 of them?
Yeah, so I've had 4 Nissan Leafs, 3 of the older ones, 1 of the newer ones. I've had a Chevy. I have a Chevy Bolt currently that my son's driving. It has 287,000 miles on it, so it's done really, really well. It did have a replacement battery from GM, and it also had to have a new air condenser or whatever the main unit of that is. I've had 2 Chevy Volts with a V, the plug-in hybrid. Both of them were 2017s. I actually love the Chevy Volt. I love the technology. It feels almost like a sports car, but it's not. And then I have a low-speed Chinese electric vehicle that was imported that a friend gave me. I use it for parades. It only goes 20 miles an hour.
Wow. What is that called?
Called an E-Rivia. E-Rivia, R-I-V-I-A. And I wouldn't recommend anyone buy one. It's a piece of junk, honestly.
Well, the first electric cars we looked at had a 25 mile per hour limit, and they were more like glorified golf carts. And that was way before any of the big manufacturers got involved. But you still see things like that around. And in our EV club, there's someone who attends meetings talking about trying to refurbish one of these very old things, even though they have little technical expertise and so forth. But I was in Schenectady, New York for the national meeting of EVA, and I met you there, and you received the National EV Ambassador of the Year. So how did that come to pass?
I think part of it probably is because I'm a Republican, and Republicans don't like EVs that much. So the fact that I am kind of risking my political future to support EVs, I think that may have been factored in with the judges. I don't know. But I have taken groups from Georgia to California on special trips, large groups of 50 people, 50 leaders, to learn about what California is doing with electric vehicles. We've made a trip to LA, made another to the Bay Area. I'm taking a group to Norway next year. So I guess I've really been an EV evangelist and using my platform as an energy commissioner to educate people about EVs. I created an event that we started in 2011 called the Clean Energy Roadshow that travels around Georgia in the summer, making stops in various places. So we have a group of EVs that travel with us, and we do seminars. So we've had that. And I also created the EV Brain Trust in Georgia that's made up of about 50 people that meet quarterly and talk about some of the latest technologies and advancements, policy decisions that need to be made. So I think just collectively, I've done quite a bit in the EV space, and the association, I think, felt like that it was extraordinary given my position and the fact that I'm a Republican.
Yes, and I salute your bravery in that. Doing the good thing is a good thing. It doesn't matter what labels we assign to ourselves. But with your podcast called Energy Matters, you're obviously very involved with promoting solar energy and everything to make the environment better. I'm hoping that the spirit of Jimmy Carter is somehow helping inspire people in this way, because as we know, he put solar panels on the White House, and he was a nuclear engineer on submarines. His books are fascinating to read about all that history. But I really applaud you for taking the stance that you do. And obviously, you realize as a user of these cars, the great benefits.
Yes, and I'm at an EV conference today, and there's a speaker from California named Mike Murphy that's presented a lengthy survey result from Republicans and Democrats about attitudes towards EVs before Elon Musk, during and after. I mean, it's quite a comprehensive presentation. I think it's the best presentation I've ever seen on the partisan divide and attitudes from Republicans and Democrats. But clearly, there's a third of Republicans that say, I'll never have an EV under any circumstance. And we simply have to chip into that, I think, in order for the manufacturers to be able to sell as many cars as they need to sell. I think it's just important for all of us to be thinking, hey, I've got a Republican friend. Can I loan him my EV? Can I let her drive? I'll drive and she can ride with me and kind of see what this is about. I think we all are just going to have to make extraordinary efforts at reaching Republicans, because we need them to be buying these cars.
And that all comes under the 10,000 rides program that the Electric Vehicle Association is promoting, with the idea that if someone gets into one of these cars, either as a rider or a driver, it sells them on the idea pretty quickly. And so a number of people that I know who surprised me by saying they drive electric said they will never go back. They'll never go back to internal combustion engines, and I fully agree with that.
This survey showed that Republicans are particularly interested in rebates and technology. And those are the two things that we really need to emphasize with Republicans, is the high-tech nature of the car. Like, for example, Elaine, who was at the event, was president of the association. She's got a new 2025 Model S, and she was riding me around with it in Schenectady. And that's a fully autonomous, or not fully autonomous, but it's got the best autonomous mode that you can get from Tesla. And I think Republicans are going to be intrigued by that. Now, I think we want to talk about high tech with these Republican potential EV buyers.
And similarly, the autonomous taxis that are now rolling out. I've taken a ride in Austin, and they're running around in Houston getting ready, driving safety, because my driving could improve. I've been driving for over 56 years, but I'm always thinking how I can do differently and save lives by driving better. People will never will be affected by the driving habits that we have. You said you have a car with 280,000+ miles on it. Who was driving this, and what distances were they driving? How'd that many miles get on there?
This guy, Steve, was an Uber driver, and I actually wrapped his car with a logo about driving EV. So I paid for this wrap. It also has my name on it because I have to run for office. So it was also kind of a campaign effort as well. But he drove this car for 5 years and put that kind of miles on it. He's a prolific Uber and Lyft driver, and I don't know that there's anyone in Georgia that's been in an EV more than Steve.
Yeah, I know someone who drives for that company and has put 50,000 miles on his electric vehicle in 1 year. So that's amazing. But I was also part of a WRAP campaign where they just wanted electric vehicles to drive around and around and around for several days at an energy conference here in Houston.
It's a great idea to have any kind of publicity like that. I think people want to feel like they're buying something that's not just an oddball thing. Of course, there's so many Teslas on the road. I'm sure, in Austin now, in all of Texas, plus Georgia, you just see them everywhere. Of course, California, there's no way not to see one within 2 seconds if you're out on the highway. So I think we're continuing to make progress with adoption. There's other issues that all of our EV clubs and associations are working on: charger reliability, more chargers, more destination chargers, all of these things. But I think for now, we've got a little bit of a speed bump, with the tax credits going away. Hopefully we have manufacturers that kind of step up maybe and have some of their own rebates, just like you do with an ICE engine. Any Chevrolet or Ford or Stellantis dealership gives, a low interest rate or a rebate on a car that they're trying to sell. So hopefully we will see some of that advertised on television.
So as part of our radio show, I would count the number of electric cars that I would see in the time between one radio show and the next week. And I would get close to 300 that I'd seen, and predominantly of one brand, but there are lots of different brands on the road here in Houston, and it's always a pleasure to see them. Sometimes I get the urge to compete with somebody at a stoplight who's in an ICE vehicle, as we call them, a fancy sports car or something, and I know that I can outpace them very easily. So that's something that people should know about as well. They're powerful cars.
We just had an event here in Georgia this past weekend called Silent Thunder, and it was a mirrored autocross event. Competing against each other were ICE engines and electric. So an electric would line up on one side and ICE on the other, and all day long on Saturday, they competed on an autocross course that took about 40 seconds to go around. And if the listeners don't know what I mean by autocross, they basically have set cones out in a little shape. So, you'll go down 100 yards, you'll make a turn, come back, make another sharp turn. So you're not really hitting any high speeds. It's just a matter of you working through these cones. So this was a great event especially for drivers that tend to be a little more performance oriented, to be able to just see, okay, how does that Cadillac, how does it do against that Charger over there, or how does that Tesla do against that souped up drift car? So it was a really great event that we had in Atlanta on Saturday.
Yeah, those kinds of things. Having more fun with these. I said they're powerful, but everybody says they're also fun to drive. I'm interested in working with someone to put together what's called a road rally, which is not a race, but just following a route and a map in the countryside and looking for landmarks and answering questions, and then getting together at the end for a social event. So I've been on one of those in Austin. And there's just a lot of ways to have fun with these. We've talked on our show with the EV drag racer who let me know how they keep the tires from spinning too much. I learned from him they put some sticky stuff on.
A thank
Tim Echols for joining us from Georgia. And now we're going straight to Fun with Zip and Zap. Today it's Zip and Zap in the wild blue yonder. Are you ready, Zap?
I'm ready.
An electric airplane? Seriously?
It'll be fun, Zip. Let's live dangerously.
I don't know. Sounds iffy.
You're stuck in a rut, Zip.
And it's a pretty comfortable rut, too.
Come on, Zip. The pilot is the best pilot I know.
How many pilots do you know, Zap?
Just one, but he's my uncle.
I didn't know you have an uncle. What is his name, pray tell?
He's my Uncle Zop. Here he is now. Zop, Zip, Zip, Zop.
I hope this doesn't go on much longer. I'm starting to forget my own name. Now, Zip, you've got nothing to worry about. I won this electric airplane in a poker game, and it came with an instruction manual. I'm getting pretty good at flying it, too. Right now, my comfortable rut is even more appealing.
Uncle Zop is just joking, Zip. He didn't win the plane in a poker game. He won it throwing dice. Did I mention there would be snacks?
Oh, well then, let's go. Wow, it really works. We're up here in the clouds, and the earth is so beautiful from up here. I love it. Wait a minute. What happened? The motor turned off. Oh, no! Don't worry. This plane is also a glider, Zip. Now we can soar around for hours just watching and following those buzzards. They really know how to use thermals to fly wherever they want without hardly flapping a wing. Buzzards would not be my first choice of bird to follow, but they sure seem to know what they're doing. Can the same be said for you, Uncle Zop? What's that? I was just reading in the manual about how to land. Sounds complicated. Well, there's a first time for everything. Here goes nothing.
Don't worry, Zip. Uncle Zop has a way with these things.
Wake me up after we land.
Zip, Zip, we landed. See, everything went perfectly. Uncle Zop is...
Aces.
Aces.
Yeah, looks like Uncle Zop is looking for aces in a card game over there. I wonder what they're playing for. Zip, Zap, come on over. I just won an electric submarine. We sail next week. That's okay, Zop. I'm just going to be at home trying to make a more comfortable rut. We interrupt this program to tell you that electric airplanes are real. And if any of you happen to be in Ohio in October, there are going to be electric airplane races. Look it up. All right. We cut our interview with Tim Echols a little short, but basically we were just going to be saying thank you to each other. And thanks again. I mean, this is a person who's really active in promoting electric vehicles, solar energy, what have you. It was
very interesting.
Very. And, self-identified as a Republican, but look what he's trying to do. So maybe there's hope. Maybe there's a Democrat in the future. I think he did run for Senate at one point or was mounting a campaign for that. But he's been a statewide commissioner of public service for some 15 years now and is running again. So, any other questions you might have related to electric vehicles, Susie?
Not right now, but what I think I'm going to do is go up in an airplane today and check it out.
But not an electric airplane.
No, unfortunately not.
Okay, well, there's electric something involved when you're watching your movie or whatever. I'm interested. Is this business or pleasure in New York?
It's pleasure.
Anything
Since I don't have a business.
Anything in
Except
particular?
for Zip and Zop and Zap.
Well, anything particular? Yeah. Go ahead.
Don't forget, we speaking of airplanes, we have a Wings and Wheels event coming up on September 20th
Ooh,
at the Air Terminal, 1941 Air Terminal at Hobby Airport.
And you can
And
meet me in person if you get out there. Just look up HoustonEVA.org and look for our events, and you should be able to see this very interesting event coming up September 20th, a Sunday. Well, we're going to wrap it up now. I want to thank Rico in the booth. We had a kind of a different show today with most people remote and some recorded. And thank you to Tim Echols of Georgia, to Colin Lowen out there wherever you are, and Susie, same to you. Happy flying. And I'm David C. Lowy. Thanks for listening to Houston EV Hub on KPFT 90.1 FM and KPFT.org. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
bye. Thank you.
There's a line on the ground that'll take you anywhere. If you want to go somewhere in particular, you gotta follow the right line. But there's a line on the ground most places, and we're gonna follow that line to whatever we might find, though it might not be just what we were expecting. There's just no point directing that line on the ground. If you let it, it just might take you anywhere. If you let it, it just might take you anywhere.